All right, guys. My name is Aaron Vasquez, and thank you for joining me for this masterclass. For those of you who were on the masterclass yesterday, I do deeply apologize about the technical difficulties with my internet. But I'm here now to kind of give you the full overview about on how to create your own opportunities abroad. And first of all, I'll kind of introduce who I am and kind of how I went to different countries because now I'm a professional footballer and I do quotations because, I'll explain later, but I went to a lot of different countries to really try to pursue this dream. And a lot of people always ask me kind of like how I was able to find these different types of opportunities for myself. And first, I'll just break it down with how I did it. And then afterwards, I'll break down kind of the main points about what you should do or what I would do in your situation if I wanted to look for opportunities abroad. So yeah, let's get straight to it. So an introduction into who I am. I started playing when I was 7 years old, and over the years I decided to take it more serious. And when I was in high school, 15, 16, I realized like I really want to play pro football. Like I think that this is something that I want to do. And at the time I was playing for a high level in Canada. I was playing with a good team, an academy almost. But in Canada at the time there was only three professional teams, or there wasn't a lot of professional teams to go to in Canada. And so I was really thinking like, how can I go pro? And I heard a lot of things about going to school and taking the school route, especially school in the States, Division 1, Division 2, because there's always the MLS draft. So trying to send out my stuff, a lot of emails and a lot of messages to coaches and teams in the US, but none really were interested in me. So I had to stay in Canada and play football for 1 year with a school in Canada, in my city. And so I stayed there, played football for a year there. This was during COVID. And I realized, I don't really want to do school. I think I really want to just go out there and put myself out there and just try. I really want to try playing pro football. And if I have to leave the country to do so, I'll do that. And I'll sacrifice my school and not do my school, which is kind of, really a big decision for me and for a lot of people and your families, I'm sure. But it's kind of like a feeling that God was trying to tell me to do, like, Aaron, I think you should try this instead. So I really wanted to do this. So I left and dropped out of school after 1 year. And it all kind of stemmed up from this one pickup game that I played. So I'm always a big emphasizer that you should always do your best wherever you are. Any type of situation you're in, any type of training session, team training session, playing with your friends. I was like how I got spotted at first. This was kind of like the snowball as to how everything kind of got introduced in itself. So I was playing in a pickup run with some of my friends and some other players I didn't know. And I was just having fun, trying to do my thing, trying to express myself and work hard and improve. And I didn't think much of it. I was happy with how I played, just enjoying the game. And then afterwards, I got a message from one of the players who I just met that day. He said, "Hey, listen, Aaron, like, are you interested to go to Europe?" And I told him, "Of course I am." He's like, "Listen, I have a guy who's taking players to Europe. I think you should try and give it a shot." So I got in contact with the guy and he told me about he's bringing players to like the showcase trial in Serbia with other Russian players and two or three Canadians. And he kind of wants us to do some type of showcase trial, play against second and third division teams there and see what could happen. So, I got really lucky. All I did was just play my best wherever I was, and I got lucky from a random connection. And so I left the country to try my luck. I went to Serbia, played against some second and third division teams there, but unfortunately, nothing happened. So I went home, and then again, I also got another chance because they told me, "Listen, Aaron, you can come back and go to Greece, where we have another showcase trial where we'll play second and third division teams there as well." And there's a lot more scouts there, a lot bigger opportunity for you to actually sign with the team. So I went over there to Greece about a month or two later and did the same almost format and also got nothing from this opportunity. But one of the things that happened in the end was one of the management told me, "Listen, Aaron, like you've improved a lot since the last 1 or 2 months that I've seen you. I want to continue working with you, and maybe in the future I can really help you. And I thought nothing of it really. I was like, thank you for your, kind words. And the only thing I felt was a confidence boost because I felt like maybe if someone believes me playing overseas, and maybe I can really make this happen. But at this point, a lot of players would just stop. But I'm a big emphasizer as well. I keep saying that word, but you should always have different connections ready as well. So I always kept my options open. I was always talking to different people, different contacts in case things didn't work out. And I was always trying to think ahead, not too ahead where to the point I got stressed out, but just trying to be smart with who I'm talking to and the different contacts I have so I could open up different doors. So I was in constant contact with a connection to go to Uruguay in case Greece and Serbia did not work out. And so I ended up going to Uruguay about 2 months later. And I signed with like a first division team there. And I was playing with a reserve team, which was a U23s. And I stayed there for 2 years. And it was a really big development period for me as a person, as a footballer. And, I felt like this is exactly what I needed at the time. Like being introduced into that atmosphere, into that environment where it's literally like kill to be killed. Because as players abroad or as players not from the country, if you're coming there trying to take a local spot, they're gonna take that as a threat. And so you're really playing for, your survival. If you're trying to make it, then you have to understand there's other people in the same boat as you who want it just as bad as you do. So what's kind of gonna be the separator between you guys? And over 2 years, like I wasn't really happy with my playing time. I felt like maybe I was doing the best I could, but for some reason I wasn't getting the chance I wanted to express myself. And I felt a little bit of a bias. So at this point, after the 2 years, I felt like my back was to the wall. I didn't know what to do. And then started to think about the contacts I talked to in the past, and I thought about the contact in Greece, in Serbia, the one who said that I improved a lot. So I reached out to him just out of the blue, and he ended up giving me a chance. And he told me he's well connected with the team in Brazil, which is like a semi-pro amateur team. And so I went to Brazil from a contact that I met 2 years ago. Can you believe that, guys? That's why I'm saying contacts are so important because you should never burn any bridge because it can always help you going forward in the future in 2, 3, 4 years. And this is exactly what happened to me. If you kind of revived my career when I thought that nothing was going to be working out for me. I didn't know where I was going to go after Uruguay. Going to Brazil was a very impulse decision, and I was very, very nervous, very scared. I didn't know if I could trust the contact I was talking to, but I met him in person prior to that back in Greece and Serbia, and I decided to take a chance, which is also another big thing that you guys will have to take. There's a lot of chances that we're going to have to take in pursuing this type of career, especially trying to play abroad. And so I sent a good message to him, and he ended up getting back to me, introduced me to a team in Brazil, and I went there and I got some playing time in Brazil, stayed there for around 6 months, and it was a really big life changer for me. Felt another revival of my career, as I was saying before. And after Brazil, I decided, okay, maybe I could try more opportunities. And I still stayed in contact with the guy who brought me to Brazil. His name is Alex. So I still stayed in contact with Alex, and he's a really good guy, really cared about me. So I trusted in him. And he plugged me with another connection to go to Lithuania to do a trial with a team in the first division. So at this point, from starting from Canada, not knowing what I'm gonna do, being in school and not knowing how to make it pro, but knowing I wanted to get there, to having a trial with a first division team in Europe. And so I go to Lithuania, and this is like the only picture slash video I have of me playing there. But I took a huge chance. I decided to give it a try. I've been on trial in Uruguay with some second division teams, or with a second division team, but playing with this team in the first division in Europe was a different type of level. It's probably the highest level I've ever played. And I stayed for about a week. And afterwards, they told me, listen, Aaron, like this is another hard thing for us, but for us like foreigners, if you're not as good as the locals, then there's no point, or if you're just as good as the locals, sorry, there's no point in them signing because if they're going to sign a foreigner, they're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort to bring that foreigner on your team, and they're only allowed a limited number of spots. And if you're the same level as the locals, there's no point in them taking you. So this is another thing with people in Canada and the United States, outside of Europe, outside of whatever country you're in, and you don't have their passport, whatever it may be, you have to be better than the locals, and that's just the reality of it, really. and that's another challenge of playing abroad. So at this point, I didn't make the trial in Lithuania. Now, after this, after I got the text that I wasn't gonna be playing with this team anymore, I was sitting in my hotel room and I was thinking, what do I do? Like, is this the end? Like, I don't have any other option. But I was thinking, I was talking to God, I was trying to really figure out what it is I should be doing. Should I go home and study? Should I just give up on everything and try again the next time, or what should I do? So I really talked to God, and then I kept messaging my agent. So I kept messaging Alex, and he told me, listen, Aaron, let me try and see what I can do. Started contacting different teams from Poland, from Finland, and luckily I got one team from Poland who got back to him, said that I could come for a trial and just to see how I was. And at this point, I was nervous. I was like, this is probably the scariest thing I've had to do, or one of the scariest, sorry. What was I had to take like a bus from Lithuania to Poland, totally different country. I didn't know anything that was going on. And I was so unsure about everything. Another huge transition. Then I took a chance and I ended up in Poland and I was able to play half of the season. So this is my first game I played there, and I ended up playing 15 games in total. So thank God that I continued, because this was another stepping stone. And as you guys can see, these are kind of like little steps, like little itty bitty micro steps. It's like another rung on the ladder. And you just got to climb it up slowly and slowly, and also always keep your options open. And so I played in Poland for a little bit, and I was unsure about everything in the beginning, but it ended up working out so much better than I thought. Now, near the end of Poland, I knew that I wasn't going to stay with the team, so I was thinking, what can I do now? And this was like a couple games before the end of the season, and it's always important to think ahead sometimes, as I was saying, guys. So always trying to keep your options open and message as much people as you can for, you don't want to do anything last minute. So I was reaching out every time before the season ended. And luckily, I had a friend playing in a country called Tajikistan. Tajikistan is in Central Asia, and I had no idea where this country was. But he was playing professional there, and he told me, "Listen, Aaron, I'm leaving the team, but my agent can help you bring you here." So I got in contact with him, and this is probably my most unsure and scared transition in my career of football. And like my career of football is not very long, but this was definitely a very big game changer for me. I was unsure about the country. I didn't know who or what was gonna happen. And I was thinking, oh, I don't know what this country is. Maybe their football isn't that good, but I was wrong. This is a mistake I made. A lot of first division teams, first division leagues in all around the world are always a good level. And it was a very difficult time for me, a lot of difficult hardships, but I did get one very lucky connection to bring me there. And all you need is just one connection, guys, and you just have to make sure that it's the right, like there's no way for you to know it's the right one, but it has to be the one that makes the most sense to in that moment. And this was what it was. And it's not England, it's not Spain, but it definitely is like another step in the staircase. So I signed my first pro contract there. And then near the end, sorry, let me go back to that slide. I don't want to spoil it. But another lucky thing too was when I was there, I'm from the Philippines. So there was kind of like this man who's in charge of the Filipino profiles in transfer market. If you guys don't know what transfer market is, it's a profile for professional footballers around the world. And he saw that I had a profile from the Philippines playing in Tajikistan. So he texted me in the beginning of my season, said, listen, hey, do you want me to fix your profile for you in transfer market? I'm like, sure. And I stayed in contact with them for 3, 4 months. I told him my interest about maybe going to the Philippines and playing in a professional league there or playing for their national team. So always trying out different options, messaging a bunch of people, and trying my luck, because what's the worst you can say? No. So you should not be afraid to put yourself out there, guys. And if you really believe in yourself, then put yourself out there. I really give yourself that love, and in December of the last December that passed, I got a message from a manager from a team. I'm like, oh, how'd you get my number? He said, oh, this guy sent it to me. And it was a guy I was in contact with when I was in Tajikistan. So he connected me with someone else. A connection to a connection. That's how a lot of these things worked out for me in my career. That's what got me to still keep playing and kicking a ball to this day as a professional footballer. And yeah, so I got a manager who texted me from a team, said they're interested in me, saw my video, they like my profile, and they signed me. So This is my second professional contract in the Philippines currently. This is where I am right now. And it was another very lucky connection. And I took another big chance. And I was also very lucky, you know. And it's funny too because it was really easy for them to sign me because I had a Filipino passport. If I didn't have one, I would be counted as a foreigner. But you know, I'm technically am a foreigner since I was born in the Philippines but left very early on. So I did count as a foreigner. But I decided like 2 years ago, like, mom, dad, maybe me and my brother should get our Filipino passports just in case. And look how it worked out. So you always got to think outside the box and try to work your ways and pull certain strings because you never know what could happen. And I always thought that this could be a possibility. And if it does, I want to be extra ready for it. And the Filipino passport came in handy. And yeah, now I'm playing in the Philippines here. And so moving on, guys, that's pretty much like a story of like how I am, like how I got to where I am right now. And listen, like it's not a big I'm not saying I mean football or something, but I've kept it alive, you know? And that's sometimes what you need. You need to go step by step and sooner or later you find yourself closer to the top than what you would have thought than you were 5 years ago. Because 4 or 5 years ago, I would never expect myself to be here. And yeah, the most important aspect of finding these opportunities is just finding the right connections. And you know, do what I did, guys. Like talk to old coaches, talk to old friends, talk to friends currently, talk to old teammates, talk to current teammates, whoever it may be. Never know who knows who. And I also tried LinkedIn, and that also like really helped me find different opportunities as well. Or brought me to Uruguay, which was like one of the biggest game changers of my life, and other social media apps too. The person who reached out to me from the Philippines reached out to me on Instagram, guys, on Instagram. He slid in my DMs, like literally. And this is just what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm very enthusiastic about this because a lot of people, it's hard for them to find opportunities. Then you have to ask yourself, you're putting yourself out there and really, really trying. And, you know, yeah, he just messaged me when I was in Tajikistan through Instagram, and I thought he was a little sketchy, but then he ended up plugging me on my next team. It's helping me pursue more of my professional career. And I do say professional in contacts in quotation, sorry, because it is like a professional level, professional league. But of course, there are some things that are still having to be adjusted and fixed, especially in low-level professional countries such as the Philippines and even Tajikistan as well. Not all teams are very wealthy or financially stable, but nonetheless, professional is professional. The level is there, and as well they offer like transfer market and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the most important aspect of finding opportunities, just finding the right connections. And like you can be good as the player as you want, guys. You can be as good as a player as you want. You can score 10 goals a game, whatever it may be. But if there's no opportunity to be seen, you will only stay where you are. You have to put yourself out there. And I said that probably like 20 times already in this masterclass, but you have to send your videos and CVs to as many people as you can. Like I've sent mine to over hundreds of players, coaches, teammates, agents, etc. And you may send it to 1,000 people, but only two get back to you. Those two, all you need is just one opportunity, one yes, one coach that trusts you, one team that wants to give you that trial, and it could change and alter everything. So when I say put yourself out there, if you think you've sent enough messages, you probably haven't, to be honest. You gotta send it to everybody and their mom. I promise you, if you really believe in yourself, if it's really aligning for you, then it's gonna work out. But you have to put yourself out there. And you know, I've seen a lot of good players play in a lot of like decent leagues who are very good players, but they don't know how to find opportunities, and no one's watching them. Like no one of, you know, trying to pull the strings to pull them to another team. Scouts, and I guess you could say, are watching them. And you know, in your life, like you connect with so many people you don't even realize. So, you know, on a life lesson, like you always have to be kind because you never know who the stranger is next to you on a bus, in the car, or the classmate you have in class. And the world is a very, very small place, especially the football world. You never know who knows who. I played with some guy in Tajikistan who some of my teammates have played with here in the Philippines, where I played against a guy in Tajikistan who played in the Philippines who know some of my teammates now. So you never know who knows who. It's a very small world, and you have to work hard on the pitch, but also off the pitch too. And that's in reaching out, networking. I know players who are 26, 27 who has a very rich resume. They don't have an agent. They just try and do everything by themselves and find those opportunities for themselves. You have to be your marketer. Like you have to be your own boss in your own life, in your own football career. No one's gonna do it for you. You know, you have to put yourself out there, as I said. You know, you can do all the work off the pitch, outside of training. You can train extra, do as much juggling against the wall, do as much technical drills and 1v1s with your friends, with your teammates. But if you're not trying out different things and different opportunities, then you're gonna stay where you are. And you have to make the most out of every situation, guys. This ties back to like my first, door being open that kind of stems everything. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. God has a plan, but you have to find it in yourself to give it all that you have. And to move forward, you also have to show that you're able to fight and play wherever you are. Think of it as a stepping stone. If you perform and show yourself well in point A, it will open up more doors to point B and C and D and E and F and G, all the way to Z. And if you're not playing, if you're not performing where you are, then it's going to be really hard for you to move up. So you just have to make sure that you're doing your best, making sure that you're putting your all into wherever you are in your team, in your training, because there's a lot of people in the same dream as you chasing the same thing. And you got to be sure in what you want. There's so much sacrifice. Guys, flights are not cheap. Booking hotels are not cheap. If a team covers for your hotel while you do a trial, like how they did for me in Lithuania and Poland, it's very good. It's very lucky, but sometimes you're gonna have to cover for yourself with accommodation and food for the meanwhile for the trial. And I had to drop out of school for this dream. It was a hard decision. Some say that, oh, you could do school at the same time, but it's also expensive. And I wanted to really try to focus on this and put all my finances towards this. And yeah, like everything, like a lot of things cost money, like your food, housing, flights. If you go to a country and you're training with a team, it's a privilege that you're on the pitch playing and you're performing at 80% and you're not trying your absolute best. You could have performed at 100%. You're going to be wasting your time. Guys, it's a very hard sport, very hard world football is, and you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot and understand that it's not going to be easy. So every time you go to play, you must give it your absolute best. From now to this day, I do it, and from now back, and from back then, when I first got looked at in my pickup run, it's when I did it, and yeah, a lot of things came out from that because I didn't even focus about who was watching because I just wanted to do my best always. And there's a million players with the same dream as you, and the fact that, as we were saying before, or the fact that we come from abroad to go into their country to take their position is a huge threat to them. And they're going to view you kind of like as competition. They will view you as competition. And, first of all, you have to find the opportunities, and then you have to perform well, and you have to really show that you can fight for your team, fight for your spot. And yeah, there's a lot of things that go along with it. But of course, finding opportunities is the very first thing. So these are the most important points that I will tell you guys, is to just put yourself out there as much as you can. Post on social media as your highlight tape. Send it to 10 people on Instagram DMs and 10 people on email, then 10 people on LinkedIn, whatever it may be. Put yourself out there. And yeah, you got to contact and reach out to as much people. Ties into the first point. Wherever you play, always give it your best. You never know who's watching. Always working on moving step by step, moving up step by step. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything all at once. So for example, when I was in Poland, I thought, okay, I'm playing games. Like all I needed before Poland, I was thinking I just have to play games, get more experience. And Uruguay, I was getting any game time, barely any. I go to Brazil, I got a little bit of game time, maybe 6, 7 games, 8 games. I was like, I want more experience. I go to Poland, 15 games, 90 minutes, almost all the games. A lot of experience, a lot of things that I learned in this time. And as you guys can see, it's like literally step by step. And I always focused on just one foot after the other. I'm not trying to overwhelm myself because everybody wants to play in the big leagues. Everybody wants to score 3 goals a game. Everybody wants to get paid 3, 4, $5,000 a month. But if you just focus on that all the time, then you're gonna miss the process in between that's gonna get you there. And you have to know what it is what you want. Sacrifices that have to be made. If you I've seen a lot of players, which is okay, like, sacrifice a lot of things, spend a lot of money, a lot of like, flights to go to a certain country, and then I see them like not really trying their best. And maybe it's they start to realize it's not for them. And maybe that's kind of like a realization or turning point in their own life away from football, which is okay. But it's important to know what it is what you want before you make a bunch of big decisions for you and your family. And all you need is one person to believe in you. Football is a game of opinions, and you can be trying abroad, all these things, but the thing that really helped him was Alex trusting in me, believing in me, and he ended up, and that ended up really helping me 2 years later. And then as well, other people as well, forming the right connections. And um, yeah, you just need one person to say yes. And if one coach says no or doesn't think you're good enough, it's his opinion. It is what it is. Sometimes you can't really change what people think, no matter how much you do. But that's just how it is. It's just how life be sometimes. And also try not to burn any bridges and understand that connections are endless. Guys, I've heard stories about someone who they met at like a shop, didn't even know that they played football, but ended up striking up a conversation and then finding out, oh, like my uncle is actually the coach of this team. And then my friend ended up getting his contact and all that type of stuff. Like you never know who knows who. And that's why it's very important to be kind, not just for the connections, of course, just to be a good person, and but not to burn any bridges because you never know who knows who. And um, yeah, everyone's connected in some type of way. You just gotta connect the dots. And you have to bet on yourself. So be persistent in the chase if this is really what you want. You guys have to understand that it's not going to be easy. You guys may have some uneasiness or anxiety or stress between seasons trying to figure out what it is that you should do next. I do suggest to you guys that once you guys are home or once you guys have time, or even if you're during season, this is what I did as well, find a job, try to make some money on the side so you can help with the finances or cover your finances yourself. Because the reality of life is you have to spend money for transportation and food and accommodation, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes you need luck. Playing abroad all stemmed up from a pickup game that I went to 5 years ago. Guys, if I didn't play in that pickup game 5 years ago, I would not be here right now, playing, kicking football for a living. And I'm still trying to make my way up. As I'm saying, I didn't make it anywhere yet. I'm very thankful to be here playing pro, but I could always be better in myself, and just trying to be the best version of myself that I could be. But I'm really proud of how far I came, and you guys should too, especially if you guys are chasing this really tough dream. And looking back at it, it really is funny how the dots connected and the things worked out the way that they did. Like I really owe it to my parents and like for letting me take such a chance, and especially to God for blessing me such opportunities. Remember, without the right work, you will stay the same. There were many times in certain situations that did not make sense to me. I really thought I should have made that Lithuanian team. I really thought that I was going to be able to move up a league in Poland and play professionally there. But now looking back, I'm so glad that it happened. I'm so glad that God made these decisions for me and kind of formed my own path, not to my understanding, but to His. And I truly believe that I can make this happen. And I'm willing to bet on myself that these risks that I'm taking and will take are worth it. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. And if this is really what you want, then neither should you. So yeah, guys, it's really funny, kind of like whenever I tell the story of how I found these opportunities, because it seems so coincidental or lucky, but I just think that you just have to really express your contacts and really try, and pray a lot too. God really helped me out, gave me a lot of luck, and yeah, I just listened to Him, and a lot of things started to make sense. And yeah, so I'm supposed to do a Q&A after this, but fortunately there's no one here. Of course, this is a post recording, but just trying to think of anything else that I need to say. Um, yeah, so there was a lot of times in my football career where I felt like it was over, but then something always happens, you know. So just really try to expand your horizons. I honestly suggest. Um, yeah, I'm really glad where I am right now, and I'm always gonna keep networking, trying to speak with different people, and try to speak with different teams and clubs and see what happens and where it takes me then. Um, obviously, guys, an agent really does help. I'm not really officially signed with an agency as of yet. I'm working with some, but um, they really do help. But to get a really good agency, sometimes you have to be on a really good team or you have to play professional football as well, which is a little difficult. But then again, I know a lot of players who have a rich resume who did not have any agent at all. So you can always be your own agent and just market yourself. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much it. This is my name is Aaron Vasquez, and this is how you can find and create opportunities for yourself abroad. And I just want to leave you guys with one more thing. Like it's not going to be easy. It's really hard. And I just want you guys to know that when you guys are in the hardship and when it seems tough, sometimes you're in the right place. And that you should really savor these moments because one day you're gonna look back at it, maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, or even a year from now, or even a couple months from now, and be like, wow, like I can't believe I went through that. I'm really glad I did. I'm really glad that that didn't work out, or that coach said no, or that coach didn't play me because if who knows what would have happened if he did. I wouldn't end up where I am now. And yeah, just God has a plan, trust in him. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope you guys were able to take some important points here or just learn at least one thing that you can apply in your life and in your football career. And yeah, just life in general too, guys, because this isn't just with football. It could be with anything. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Aaron Vasquez. And if you guys have any questions as well, just type in my username on Instagram, literally Aaron Vasquez, and you guys should see me there and just shoot me up with a message or I'm also in the WhatsApp group for those of you in the Train Effective group chat and just send me a message. So thank you guys for watching. All right, peace out.